You guys are gonna have to forgive me, but we are gonna have fun today. And I don't know how long this presentation is going to take because I've never given it before. I've given pieces of it at a live event, but I've never given this presentation before. I created it specifically for Amy and the folks that decided to come hang out with us today. So Nadine's on here. She's up at 3 a.m. She's in the Philippines. She's up at 3 a.m. to
Whoa.
This is crazy. Okay, so with that said, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna have a conversation about what I believe is the one thing that will make a difference in you getting what you want versus what you say you want in 2023. And a lot of people talk about the things they want, but most people don't ever really get them. And if you guys would, if humor me, we're going to start this chat thing already. If you hit all of your goals in 2022, put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't, put a 2. 2. I didn't hit all my goals. So I'm the first one to admit that I didn't hit my goals. So if there is there anybody who hit all of their goals? Anybody? Just, can I get a 1 from anybody? Good, because if you did do that, I was going to pick on you. So, all right, we know that everybody didn't hit their goals, but the question always becomes, well, why didn't I get what I set out to do? Because you had full intentions of getting it, but the fact of the matter is it just didn't happen. And sometimes we make a bunch of excuses, but in the end, I don't know that that's the reason why. And that's why we're talking about the one thing today. So let's see if I can get this thing to work, because I haven't used this software in a while, and because I haven't been giving presentations. All right, so you guys might have seen a t-shirt every now and again. Lawrence has his sweatshirt on, at least he did. I can't see him anymore. But I took the red pill. We registered it. We got a trademark. That was one of our goals for 2022. And so I like to show it everywhere I go because I think it is one of the most amazing things in the world. And so we're here today to talk about the one thing that will make or break your 2023. And I just want to start off with some ground rules. All right. Because a lot of really smart people are associated with Amy. And if I invited you, I know you're smart because you hang out with me from time to time and you decided to come spend some time with me today. So you're brilliant, right? But here's the thing, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so if I make this thing big so you guys can see it a little bit better, there's this little pie over here and I like to eat pie, right? And so don't tell Lynch, my trainer, that because he's going to say I'm going the wrong direction on my weight, but that's a different story. That was one of the goals I didn't hit last year. All right, so there's the things that you realize that you don't know. That's a small piece of the pie. There's the things you realize you know. That's the smallest piece. So you know what you know. There's the things that you know that you don't know, but the things that you know don't know that you don't know is the biggest piece. And this is the piece that's really dangerous. I call it being unconsciously incompetent. I call it overconfident. And so what I ask you to do today, because I'm probably going to say some things that are unconventional, what I ask you to do today, because these things may be in the things that you don't realize that you don't know, that you suspend your disbelief, you be open to anything being possible, and you trade being skeptical for curious. Can I get an agreement with that? Can you give me a 1 if you're willing to do those 3 things for me for the next hour or so? And if you do that, I guarantee you will walk away from this conversation with something that is meaningful and potentially transformational for you and your experience. Okay, so a few people put 1. There's a bunch of people who aren't participating. That's okay. I'll pick on you later because you don't have your camera on. And so when I say that you don't know what you don't know, I want to tell you what I do know, right? And so for me, and I'm just going to we talked about goals, right? Here are the things that happened for us. So I took 76% more days off last year. I spoke at about 100 different spaces, one of them being live on Fox News. I had 90 hours of volunteering, which was up about 260% from the year before. And one thing that's near and dear for me is I got to do an epic summer vacation. At least I thought it was epic. The kids thought it was fun too. So we went across 4 states. We went to theme parks. We went to a regular roller coaster park. And then we did a water park. We did a professional baseball game, which was their first one. They got a certificate and everything. We had deep dish pizza in Chicago on the, what is it, the Millennial Mile or whatever that thing is called. And so that was a memory. That was actually actually their favorite meal of the year, believe it or not. We toured a mansion. We went on a ferry ride. We did a magic show. And the guy put a Rubik's Cube inside of a like glass jar in the show. And then at the end of the show, Leah walked up and said, "Can I have that?" And he signed it and gave it to her. She's one of the people who will go up and believe anything's possible. She'll ask for it. And so she inspires me. That was one of my favorite memories from the vacation. And we also did the Wisconsin State Fair. And if you've not been to the Wisconsin State Fair, you need to go because it was an absolute treat. So for me, that was my life. That was the highlight of those were the highlights of my 2023. But we got results, right? So for me, those were the results. We grew. I took more time off. I talk about people doubling their revenue, taking twice as much time off, increasing their charitable giving. So I did that. I didn't talk about revenue, but we doubled revenue last year as well, right? So let's go to clients, right? So we had one client who doubled her income from her W-2. How many of you have ever gotten 100% raise when you are working in a job? I think most people are lucky if they get a 10% raise. Most people are getting a cost of living, right? So we had one person double, and we were on the journey with her and watched her do that. We have 4 clients leave corporate America. We had one exit a real estate deal after 14 months to make a 50% return, and they were the sole owner on the deal. One of the people, one of my favorite people, raised over $1.5 million for commercial real estate. There were 4 clients who had their first 6-figure year in their business, 6 clients who had triple-digit revenue growth, 4 clients who had revenue growth between 50 and 99%, and 3 clients who had 6-figure months, 2 clients who doubled their income, time off, and charitable giving. And there's more that didn't make the list, but I just want to tell you that I'm speaking from a place of knowing, right? We were with these people on a weekly basis on their journey to figure out how to actually achieve this. And they weren't there from the beginning. They came to us because they wanted to make a difference. And we measured, not waving and not woo-woo, we measured concrete metrics to make sure that we understood the type of change that was happening for them, right? And so here's what we found, right? Here's what we found. You get out what's programmed in. And so all of us are running some type of program right now. It could be that you decided at some point that you were going to be X. Right now, Leah wants to be a doctor. Kaya doesn't know what she wants to do, which is par for the course for her. She's just cool with whatever pops up. But Leah wants to be a doctor. And so she's on this path because she wants to make money. Like, that's the reason why she wants to be a doctor. She's on this path to create high income. But let's take a step back and let's think about something super simple. So as I was building this presentation, I printed it out. I printed out a page and I saw that there was a typo. And so I pulled out my whiteout and I did the whiteout to get rid of the error. And then I wrote it in on the paper. And then I went back and I printed it again. Do you think the error was still on the paper when I printed it out again? The chat works, guys. We tested it already. Can you give me some feedback? Was the error there when I reprinted it out? The error was still there when I printed it out because I didn't change it where the program is, right? I changed it on the paper. I changed it on the output. I didn't change it where the guiding system was. And so because I didn't change it where the guiding system was, the output didn't change. And so if you're running a program over and over and over again, and you're getting an output that you don't like, then maybe it's time for an update, right? Our phones get updates. Our tablets get updates. If you got an electric car, your electric car probably gets updates. If you still have the old school GPS on your car, you need to get a new DVD disc to put in to get the maps downloaded. So does your program need an update? The question is, when did you decide who you were going to be? And you guys can tell me that, right? There was an event that defined you, right? There was an event that defined you. Since you guys won't tell me in the chat, I'm going to tell you about the one that defined me about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago now. It's December of 2012. And one of the guys that I went to high school with, a guy named Leonard Robinson, we called him Hambone. We were teammates from middle school through high school, 7 years, football teammates, in the paper together, defensive co-captains, all the things. He dies after his brother, who was a few years older than him, died a couple of weeks before. And there I am sitting in the parking lot of the church 3 hours before the service starts, and I live 3 hours away. And I'm sitting there like, oh boy, this is a big deal. And the guy's 30 at the time, right? This is a big deal. Why am I here is what I started to ponder. You ever, come on, all right, so you guys are sitting there listening to me. Has there ever been a time when there was an event about somebody else, completely about somebody else, and you made it about you? It's supposed to be about somebody else. It's somebody else's graduation, it's somebody else's funeral, it's somebody else's wedding, it's somebody else's divorce party, it's somebody else's childbirth. Has there been an event where it was supposed to be about somebody else and you made it about you? Am I the only person that's that selfish? Where I started thinking about myself when I'm supposed to be there for somebody else, right? That's where I was. And here are the questions I was asking myself. Why was I still here? Why was I still alive? And this guy passed away. Why hadn't I talked to him since graduation? Why was I at the funeral? Like, I drove 3 hours, maybe 4. I drove 3 hours to get there. I got there 3 hours early. And then the other question that I asked is, well, did I value my life? Or was I taking it for granted because I had the opportunity to be here? And I left and I go to the house that I grew up in because I was from the town where we were having the funeral. And I'm sitting in a car. So ridiculous. I'm sitting in a car that costs more than the house that I grew up in. I'm sitting in front of a house that I grew up in that would fit in the basement of my current house 2 times. And so these humble beginnings went to stuff that was extravagant for some people. And for me, I felt like I lost the grounding. I lost a sense of reality, right? And so I went to this place and I was like, okay, I'm really fortunate. I'm still here. How can I make the most of it? And then I went back to the funeral and I get there a little bit late because I'm lost in my own thought. And I get in there and there's standing room only. So I don't get to sit down. I'm standing up in the back in the aisleway. And then they wrap up the service and the pallbearers come, they grab the casket. For those of you who have been to a funeral, I think you can see this very clearly. And they start to carry the casket down the aisle. And I asked the question, well, who would carry my casket? And I didn't have an answer. And that hit hard. And so the next question I asked was, well, did my life matter? Because if I didn't know who would carry my casket, and I didn't have people that I would think would be fighting over carrying my casket, did I really make an impact? And so I ran through all that. I'm like, man, I really got to do something with this life that I have because I'm fortunate enough to be here. Hambone's not. And so from the outside looking in, I told you guys about some of the financial or I'll call it financial success that we had, the material things that we had, right? So from the outside looking in, we'd endowed a scholarship at my alma mater. So that looked amazing. And we got invited to do stuff on campus as a result of that. We had the prosperity, the house, the car, the kids. I had my health for the most part. Most people don't know, but I was in an accident, I had to learn how to walk again. But in general, people couldn't tell anything was wrong with me. My career seemed like it was on a rocket ship. I changed a couple of jobs and now I was working for a consulting firm. I was flying around the country and eventually the world leading engineering projects. I married my college sweetheart And I guess if anybody was far enough away, but looking in, they would think I had pretty high self-esteem because all these things were going well. Unfortunately, the reality is the red pill doesn't work that way, right? It works from the inside out. And so when I thought about my self-image, I had issues. I had a ton of issues. The relationship wasn't working the way I thought it would. Career, I was frustrated and struggling. I didn't have the health that I should have based on my age. I had high blood pressure and some other stuff. The prosperity, I felt like I was behind. I was making the amount of money I wanted to make, but I wasn't accumulating the type of money that I thought I should be accumulating. And I honestly didn't know if my life mattered because, again, I was asking myself that question: who would carry my casket if I passed away? And so I get all through that. And this is where I need you to pull out your pen, because I said you need pen and paper for this part, right? And so what is your truth, right? And you could just do number 1 through 6. You don't have to write the questions out. Won't ask you to restate it in a full sentence, but 1 through 6, and answer these questions yes or no. There is no maybe, there's no kinda, it's yes or no. Are you madly in love with who you are and what you do? Yes or no? Are your closest relationships mutually beneficial? Most people don't know what mutually beneficial is. Whatever you decide for it to be, you can decide whether or not the relationships are that. Are you passionate about your work and feel like you are solving problems that matter? Yes or no? When you think about your health, are you proud of where you are? Is your financial position one of strength? And do you feel like your life has made the true impact you desire? Everybody got it? Anybody need more time? We got 27 people on. I need at least 5 people to tell me that they are done. Three, four, five. All right, one more. I'm going to wait on Nadine because she says she needs more time. She probably didn't have her pen because she's in bed. It's like 3 o'clock where she is. Oh, man. It's a good day. All right. Now, I didn't say this, but I hope you read it. Be brutally honest. Yes or no? Is there anybody who answered yes to all these questions? Anybody answer yes to all the questions? Be bold. Be bold. No? Is there anybody answered no to all the questions? Okay. So we're somewhere in the middle. Okay. I can live with that. I can live with that. All right. So let's dive into this red pill thing, and let's dive into how I define these terms, because for some people it's nebulous, but for me it's becoming really, really clear. So self-image, how we see ourselves and how we believe other people perceive us. That's what it means when I talk about self-image. And so when I talk about myself in this space, and it doesn't mean that I'm better or worse than you, here is how I was thinking about myself in 2012. I didn't love myself, and I knew that based on the way I was behaving. I had low standards and no self-accountability. I tried to fill the holes in my soul with things. I was hurting, and I was trying to buy things to make it feel better. I kept people at a distance because I didn't want them to know what was going on. I felt like I had to wear a mask, and I was riddled with guilt because I wasn't showing up in an authentic way. And so when I talk about self-image, I think that the majority of us need to take time and figure out what character we're playing in the story. And so we created this thing we call a character identification matrix. For those of you who hung out with us in St. Louis last year, that was the first time that this came up, and we've been evolving it and growing it and adjusting it. But here's the thing. You play one of 3 roles in every situation where you're the main character. You're either the hero, the villain, or the victim. Hero, villain, or victim. The guide is always somebody that's outside of you. And when that person is outside of you, I call it kind of like GPS, right? They've got perspective because they're not in the middle of all of it. And hopefully they can give you wise counsel to help you see your way through. I'll never forget sitting in the traffic on the way to the airport on the major interstate, the only way I knew how to get there. and I was going to miss my flight if traffic didn't move quickly. And I had the thought to, hey, let's just put in GPS and see what happens. And it rerouted me. I made the flight, but the GPS had information that I didn't have. It could see things that I couldn't see because it had a different vantage point than I had. And so coming back to this hero, victim, villain, right? You can put yourself in any of these categories depending on the situation. It's based on how you respond. And so if you have high action and high motivation for the outcome, you're likely to be a hero, right? Because you're going to do what it takes in order to get the outcome. If you do low motivation and low action, you're shrinking. That's when you're a victim. When you have high motivation and low action, it's a villain. And some people would say, well, villains have to do things at a high action and a high motivation. Here's the thing. There are a lot of people that are hanging out in your world who are pretending that they want to help you. And they're doing what we call in football alligator arms, where they're not stretching out to catch the ball. They're just kind of there. Or they got the ladder over here and they're reaching their hand down saying that they can't get to you, right? Those are the villains. And you can do that as well, right? You can be a villain. You can tell somebody that you want to help them and not really show up in the best way possible for you. So that's just food for thought. The important thing I think that's worth sharing with you guys is just make sure that you're aware of what role you're playing in the story. Because if you know what role you're playing in the story and you're not playing the role that you feel like you should be playing in the space, you can make an adjustment to your actions or your motivation in order to get to the quadrant that you want to be in. Now, when I talked about all of those success stories in the beginning, I talked about those highlights. What I found is there's these shadow characteristics of the apex performer. The apex performer is the person who plays at a high level. If you look at Tim Grover and his work with Winning and Relentless, he talked about Jordan and Kobe and some of the other folks that he worked with and how they were cleaners. And he thought cleaners was the top, the pinnacle of performance. But we coined it apex performers. We think there are some things that we're missing from the cleaner definition that are required to be apex performers. And we can dive into those at some point if somebody's interested in having a discussion after this conversation. But what I want to talk to you about is the shadow characteristics. And so there's a loss. I've experienced all these. The people who did the stuff in the beginning with all of those achievements and accomplishments, they have at least one, if not multiples of these as well. So they've lost someone close to their life or close early in life, total financial ruin. I remember my, I'm glad I can laugh about this now. I remember my attorney telling me to file for bankruptcy after getting divorced. And I was just like, dude, I'm in real estate. How could I possibly do that? That doesn't make any sense. All right. A near-death experience. And then the feelings of emptiness or loneliness. Some people will call that depression. Some people will call that suicidal ideation. But all of those things, and you don't have to identify if you've experienced those, but I have. I've experienced all of those in every, I've experienced all those. All right. So we move from self-image, we move up to relationship, right? That's the next level in the red pill. And what I want you to do, still got your paper, right? Got your pen. I want you to think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Don't tell me you don't spend time with 5 people. You're not that good. COVID's over. The 5 people you spend the most time with. And I want you to put them in the box that is in alignment with the way they show up in your life. So contribution is how much they help you. And here's the other thing. This is not what you do for them. I know you're all giving and generous people. I want you to be selfish, and I want you to talk about what people do for you. I want you to think about what people do for you. So contribution is how much they help. Capacity is how much they can help, right? And so we're measuring them differently. There are people who can help you who don't, or they do it very lightly. There are people who can't help you and don't help you, but they're in your life. They're in your top 5. All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to put these people down. And this is a takeaway. If you drop off after this, you will have something that's implementable after I get through the next slide that can change your 2023. And it's one of the first things that we do with our clients when they come into our program. All right, I need 8 people to tell me they're done when they're done. And if you're scared they're going to see the paper because of the quadrant you're putting them in, just use a letter. Don't write their whole name. They might go through the trash and see the paper and start asking you, what's this? Why you got me over there? All right, in the chat, when you're done, I need 7 people to tell me they are done. Actually, I'm just going to wait for Ryan to tell me. There's 2 Ryans on here. They won't know which one I'm talking about, though. Ed, you're the man. Thank you. That's 3. I'm really good at this. I can wait. I will not leave you alone, Ryan. Breathe harder. You better do this when you get back. This one's really important for where you are based on our conversation. I got 3 people who say they're done. You guys can't think of 5 people that you spend time with and how much they help you and how much they could help you? All right, that's 4. Five. Hey, Lauren. Alvin. One more. Come on, Lawrence. I know you're done. Don, Drea, somebody. Ron. Lawrence Laddie is done in all caps. All right, so that means move on. All right, so for those of you who aren't done, I encourage you to finish this. This is probably the most powerful exercise that you can do when you're thinking about 2023. So when we talk about the one thing is updating the program, right? But once you update the program, you got to change some of the apps that you're running on top of the program. And the apps are the people. All opportunities come from people. And so if you're looking at this chart, and now we're going to the next slide. Now we're going to the next slide. All right. For the people who are low, those folks are draining. They are draining you. They are draining you. Is there anybody who doesn't have anybody in the low quadrant? Anybody? Okay. I was going to tell you weren't being brutally honest if you felt that way. All right. So now we're going to go up to low capacity, but high contribution. These folks are uninspiring. And so there's a bunch of people who are in your life in general who want to help. They can help, but they don't have the capacity to help you at the level that you need to be helped. They don't have the capacity to help you at the level that you need to be helped. You can't call them and get a problem solved. In fact, they're usually calling you to get problem solved. They're calling you to get instructions on how to do things. That gets scary because you are being drained by those folks. Both the people on the low capacity side, they're going to drain you in some way. One is the inspiration, one is just everything, your ability to move forward. Now, let's drop down to the bottom right. Underutilized. And so most of us are fortunate enough to have somebody in our life who can help us, but they don't, at least not at a meaningful level. I reached out to 2 people because I did this exercise myself last week when I started preparing for this and said, hey, I need more from you in 23. There's so much value that you can bring to my life. There's so much of a difference and a change you can help make for me. I need to get you moved from underutilized to mutually beneficial. And they both agreed to deepen the relationship and to be deliberate in creating time and space. These folks are going to be the busiest people you know. You may feel guilty asking them to help you, but the fact of the matter is they're the ones that can help you go to the next level. And let's be clear, we're all mutually beneficial people. Whoever we interact with, we're giving them benefit. We're giving them value. And so people should be thrilled for the opportunity to hang out with you. But what I found from the Apex performers, right or wrong, is they don't have many people in that quadrant. One, maybe two. One, maybe two, if they're brutally honest. Now, the thing, because I asked you to do that off the top of your head, there's a tendency, there's a tendency to go out and pick people that you like and put them on there. But if you look at your text messages, you look at your email, you look at your phone call log, you don't actually talk to them. You're just like, oh, that person's cool. I'm gonna put them on my list. I did it. I did it. It's like, yeah, this person's underutilized. And I don't ever talk to them. So what I asked you to do, because I asked you to do it in a moment right off the top of your head, I want you to go back and I want you to look at the people you actually talk to. Look at your calendar if you need to look at your calendar. Look who you're meeting with. Look at your text messages. Look at your phone log and see who you're spending your time with. And if you got 3 kids and a spouse, those are not 4 people. And then you put your best friend in there. You're like, oh, this is easy. Those are not your 4 people. Those aren't the people that you're connected with, that you're trying to go to that next level with, right? Don't take the easy way out. So you got this list. For most people, they might have 1 person, maybe 2 in the mutually beneficial, but the rest are in some other quadrant. Is that fair? Am I wrong? Is there anybody who has something that's very different from that? Your personal trainer is mutually beneficial. Health is amazing.
Yes.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Is there anybody who had a high cluster of people in that mutually beneficial quadrant? Okay. Part of the reason why I'm spending time here is because I don't want anybody to walk away from this and think they're in a bad place. They're in the normal place. That is normal. Most of us make decisions on relationships based on proximity. The beautiful thing about the internet, most of you are here because of some LinkedIn connection somewhere, something digital. But when you think about the people you actually spend time with in real time, not like digital time, they probably have some interests that you have in common. They go to your gym, they live in your neighborhood, your kids play together, you went to the same school, etc. But you didn't go out and say, hey, I'm on this mission, I'm on this journey, here's what I'm trying to achieve, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. And you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Amy's getting ready to drop a course for people who want to raise capital on LinkedIn. She's going to put a group of people together who want to be better at posting, having great profiles, knowing what to do on the back end when people actually express interest, because that can be a nightmare once you get hundreds of people interested in investing in your deals, and a bunch of other things that she spent time learning through the School of Hard Knocks, right? You joining that cohort will put, if that's your mission, if that's what you're looking to do, that's going to put you in the room with people who are on the same journey as you. And guess what? They're probably starting in a similar place as you. And so you guys can grow together with a guide who knows what they're doing, right? Most people haven't ever raised, well, I won't tell you what Amy's number is, but most people haven't ever raised over $1 million, right? And they haven't done it with people that they met through LinkedIn. So if somebody can show you that, and that's an interest of yours, why would you try to figure it out on your own? Right? To put things in perspective, right? And this is you intentionally deciding to be a part of something that will help you get to the next level and have you with people that can identify with you and they're going on the same journey so you guys can all get there together. Going alone, and this is why that guy up there, this guy right here, he hangs out with me every day, right? He's the lone wolf. And he reminded me of why I got back into development and coaching. I missed it. Real estate was really lonely for me. I was a lone wolf. I was just out there doing the thing. That's not the best way, right? The pack is the strength of the wolf. So here we go. You got your list. You're going to verify that. That is your homework. That is the price of admission. That was the price of you coming here, right? We've got other models. I won't go through all of these, but we've got a model for Inspire Career. There's 4 I's there, right? And those I's are income, influence, interest, and impact. And so we measure these, right? How much do you get paid for your services rendered? Influences your clients' trust and your ability to solve their problems, see you as an ally, and feel comfortable about being connected to you. You ever saw somebody and you're like, man, I don't want anybody to know that they're my friend. Like, I like to laugh at their jokes. I think their posts are funny, but I probably never would want to be seen with them in public, right? Like, when you're doing whatever you're doing, your ability to influence is related to people being comfortable being connected to you. All right, then there's your interest, right? So are you stimulated by the subject matter that you're working on, and then your impact? Can you see how you're making a difference? If you do those things, you're doing okay in your career. Prosperity. Too much time is spent on treasure. Too much time is spent on money. That isn't prosperity to us. That isn't prosperity to us. Prosperity is having time, talent, and treasures, having the trifecta. We want to have the trifecta. If you have, and I'll only talk about this one, if you have time and if you have treasure and you have time, or I'm sorry, if you have treasure and you have talent, but you don't have any time, you feel unrested. And that is the only one I'll talk about, because there's so many people, because hustle culture is so popular, who spend all their time trying to get to the next dollar, trying to make the next buck. And they probably wouldn't say it out loud, but they're miserable. They're miserable. I got to go do the next thing. I'm just going to keep hustling. I'm going to keep grinding. That's not prosperity. All right. And then the last one, right? Significance. Level 6, creating a lasting legacy, right? Scalable community. You want a group that you can help, right? Amy's Scalable Community CF. She loves those folks. She's somebody who has made an impact there and is going to make a bigger impact based on some of the stuff we talked about. The problem to solve, having some self-sustaining resources. This is the one that I think most people get lost in. It is the thing when I talk to folks who are in a nonprofit or not-for-profit community that they get most frustrated with. It's like they're on a perpetual fundraising cycle. I gotta go hustle. It's hustle culture. But if you can create something that continues to create resources to keep the thing going, for instance, we created an endowment that provides a scholarship, and we're looking to move it to 2 this year for engineering students at North Carolina A&T. We don't ever have to put another dollar in. Like, it just continues to pay for that to happen. And then the other thing is being able to use your unique talents. If you do that, you can create significance and have that lasting legacy. And so, again, the conversation here is really about changing your program. We've identified these 6 areas: self-image, relationship, work, health, prosperity, and significance, as the things that your program is creating results for you on or in. Self-image, relationship, work, that's stress. Health, prosperity, and significance. Your program is running and is getting you an outcome. You either love that outcome or you're trying to white out that outcome, and then the program's recreating the same thing over and over again. And so the truth was there in front of me, right? Like, I got really honest with myself. I started asking some really tough questions. I started challenging everything. And the movie is my favorite. So you guys get to get the red pill moment, right? The truth is right there in front of me. You can take the red pill, embrace the truth, deal with the truth, or you can take the blue pill and act like you did not come hear me today. Both are okay with me at the end of the day because it's your life, it's your outcome. But if you're truly going to make 2023 different and you know what the outcomes are of the program you've been running, you have a choice to make, right? You have the exact same choice to make that I had. And I continue to have. So I want to come back to this because I asked you this before, right? Are you madly in love with who you are and what you do? Are your closest relationships mutually beneficial? Are you passionate about your work and feel like you are solving a problem that matters? When you think about your health, are you proud of where you are? Is your financial position one of strength? Do you feel like your life has made the true impact you desire? Is there anybody who can say yes to all those questions, especially after hearing what we talked about today? If you're brutally honest with yourself and you can say yes, I would love to bring you up and have a conversation with you. We could just turn this into an interview for the last part so that we can all learn from your wisdom. Okay. So if you know that you have work to do, you're like, Jerome, you move off this slide. I don't like looking at these questions. What are you doing? Look, man, just take the pill, right? Take the pill. That's all I ask is that you take the pill. We've got the blueprint for you, right? And let's be clear. There's 3 S's that stop change, right? There's strategy, stamina, and support. What we found is people go in and they think that they're going to take the world by storm. I'm guilty of this, and you guys don't have to admit it, right? Like, if you've paid attention long enough, you know I like cars, right? I want a Lamborghini Aventador. I do. I want one. I'm going to buy one day, right? Here's the thing. So every time I get a business idea, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I check and make sure the domain name is there. And then I go supercar shopping. Because I know that once I do the thing, then I'll be able to buy the car, right? I skip all the other stuff. I've skipped implementation, launch. I skip all that. But if you have a poor strategy, it's going to be incomplete. It's going to be short-sighted. And you're going to get into the journey. You're going to turn around because this is harder than I thought it was. It's not working out like I said it was going to work out. I didn't see the issues that were going to happen. The stamina piece is like, oh, I'm just going to brute force it. And then there's going to come a point where it's too hard for you to just brute force it. Or you just rely on motivation because you didn't create the system or the process to make sure that you're making what we call a 20-mile march, where you're making the same progress on a daily basis and you're getting to the outcome. And then there's the support. Right or wrong, trying to become a new person in an old environment is a losing proposition. It's a losing proposition. So if you're hanging out with the same people, and this is why the relationship thing was so important for me, if you're hanging out with the same people and you're trying to be a new person, and those people are draining or uninspiring, what do you think you're going to do? They're going to encourage you to revert back to the status quo, right? If you're a drinker and you decide to go into recovery, hanging out in a bar is probably not what you should be doing day after day, week after week. But that's what we do with our cell phones. And so I think it's okay to do this. I'm going to do this. So I'm going to talk about our last trip, right? We did a trip a year ago. We went to St. Lucia and we had a blast. There's a couple of people on here that actually came and hung out with me. Dre is on here. Duran didn't make it. Lawrence was there. All right. So we got Dre and Lawrence on here, right? And I think they're actually in some of these pictures. And so like we rented a catamaran and it's just us on the boat, right? That was cool. Bunch of meals with really cool people, deep conversation, folks from all different backgrounds, ages, industries. And Dre's driving a boat. Look at that smile, man. She was enjoying life that day. Rented UTVs. Lawrence was driving. Guys, you'll get a kick out of this. Lawrence's camera isn't on, so I'm gonna pick with him. So Lawrence, the one thing that we told Lawrence, so these were left-hand drive. I think everybody's in the US, right? So we're right-hand drive. These were left-hand drive. The goal was to not, I can't see him. All right. So he'll laugh at this then. The whole goal was not to stall, right? These were stick shift left-hand drive. And so if you've ever drove a stick shift and you know the gear shift's on the right, you're on the other side, you're trying to shift with your left hand, don't stall. Don't stall. Whatever you do, don't stall. It was so much fun. Look at these guys on the beach. Lawrence had a Red Pill shirt there. And so, this was so cool. All right, so there was a volcano, active volcano, and they let you go in and do like mud baths. And like, I've just never seen anything like it, but people were talking, they were glowing, their skin was so much better afterwards. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, like, the trip was not just a vacation, right? Although some people felt like it was a vacation. We called it extraction, right? And the whole goal with extraction was to pull people out of the day-to-day and get them into a place where they could work on strategy, stamina, and get support, where they could make new connections and create a new environment where they could get help pushed to the next level. And the thing that I think is probably more valuable than any of it is the accountability, right? And so if you want to overcome those 3 S's and you're tired of the exact same thing happening over and over again, we believe that extraction is what will help you get to that next space, right? And I call it a pack of first-generation wealth creators who are focused on reducing stress, improving their health, growing their wealth, and leaving a meaningful legacy. They choose to live life on purpose instead of by chance. They have charitable giving goals, bucket list check-ins, and passive income opportunities. This, for me, is the game changer, because once you get exposed to other people who are on the same journey as you, you don't feel like a weirdo. You don't feel like the person who's this dreamer who everybody's telling to be realistic anymore, because you see people actually doing it. You see people actually achieving it and living it. And you know that they're going on the same journey as you. And so with that, I just want to let folks know that our next trip, we're going to do Belize. It's March 1st through 6th. And so we're about 2 months out. There's only a few spots left. But we're going to do some snorkeling, cave tubing, visit some Mayan ruins, and do a bunch of hard work. And I didn't show you those pictures, right? I should sell you the vacation. I didn't show you those pictures. People were exhausted. We did hot seats till 2 o'clock in the morning one night because we wanted to make sure everybody got through and got the exposure. But whatever you do, and you don't need to come to Belize with us to do this, you have your quadrant with the people on it that you're spending time with. I want you to be intentional about who you spend your time with in 2023. I want you to look at your program, the program that you've been running, and determine when you got your last update. Was it last year? Was it when you were 8? Was it when you went to that last significant event where somebody passed away, somebody got divorced, somebody got married, somebody had a baby? When did you get your last program update? And is it still serving you? Because if it's not, you're going to keep printing out that piece of paper with the error on it, and you're going to scribble on it with your whiteout or do it with your pen, and you're going to write in what's supposed to be on there. And then you're going to go back, run the program again, and get the exact same printout. You have to change the program. You have to change the program to get a different outcome. There is no magic pill. There is no cheat code other than rewriting the program. And it's uncomfortable for people. It's scary, especially if you are moving to a different peer group. And so if you're interested in extraction, here is the site. I took the redpill.co/distraction. I took the redpill.co/distraction. So with that, Amy, I made it in less than an hour. I can't believe it.
Incredible.
We did it.
You did it.
We did it.
Such
We
great
got
information.
here.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to take questions? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Because it's a new presentation, so I have no idea how people feel right now.
Incredible. I feel amazing. I'll be the first one to speak. I thought it was great content. I know you gave me a bit of a preview of this. I took a ton of notes. I've got some homework to do for sure. I'm going to take the spotlight off of you. Everyone, you should be able to unmute if you want, or you can put a question in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. Just turn your camera on because we'd love to see your pretty face, if possible.
Isles.
Who has questions for Jerome or comments?
They don't want to talk to me. Nobody wants to talk to me. It's
okay. I just want to say the presentation, like I said in the chat, was fire. Fire, yes, pure fire. Because you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, in the Bible talks about you can't pour old wine into a new skin.
There it is.
Well, there you go. So you got to change your old ways. You got to change people, places, and things. And like you know, is this the 2023? I think it's going to be for me this year, and I think everybody on the screen here is going to be a fantastic year. Because this presentation, there's a lot to take out of this, take away from this, especially the part where you said if you sit in, if you sit in the barbershop long enough, you get a haircut. So you got to change things, you know. And that's why I hope I'm planning on doing this. Like actually for myself, keep it on me. I plan on changing myself this year to be a better person than last year. With the help of those who are on the screen, those in the extraction, and the Red Pill experience. And Amy, thank you, Amy, for coming on the other day too. And have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. Yeah, I thought that I wrote a few quotes in the chat, Jerome, that will definitely resonate with me. But definitely, when was the last time you got your program update, and is it serving you? The dual-pronged approach. I think a lot of us, myself included, have the habit of, just kind of is what it is. But we can be intentional, and we can change that program. Oh, Andrea, here. See your hand raised. You're muted.
Thank you so much, Jerome. I was just going to say doing that activity in December was very hard, talking about the top 5 people you spend time with. Had to cut some people off. And, I remember one of my first interactions with Jerome. He said he only hung out with people in a certain tax bracket. And it really hurt my heart. I was like, dang, this man is harsh. But, being with him for about 1.5 years, I understand, and it really resonates. So anybody who's suffering, like letting people go, let them go. You will go much further faster.
Powerful. Did you leave Jerome speechless? Oh my gosh.
No.
I think you did it.
I thought about defending myself, but I'm not. There's nothing to defend. I don't feel bad. If you don't make over $100,000, we can only talk at scheduled times. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. It's you're living proof that pruning those people, it sounds like, does serve you. It can be a hard process, but great things don't often come from included.
I mean, except the kids. The kids can stay. Saying that as someone who doesn't have any.
See, Nadine has a question. Do you want to come on and say it, or do you want me to read it for you, Nadine, or Jerome, do you want to just answer it?
Yeah, so Nadine asks, when it comes to the capacity and contribution quadrants, would it make more sense to consider where we spend our time more, like on computers or emails, or not really on, or I guess it would be in person? So unless you're in like a virtual meeting, I would suggest that, or humbly submit to you, that you're not actually spending time with people. You might be spending some time thinking about them as you craft your response, but actually spending time in their presence, engaging or interacting, going back and forth. And so there is some osmosis, contrary to what most of us would like to think that happens. There is some rubbing off that happens when you spend time with people.
Yeah.
There is a paradigm shift. I got to spend the week before Thanksgiving with a friend of mine who spends at a different level than me. And it just was eye opening. We went to an F1 race in Dubai, and he had $100,000 worth of watches in his book bag. Think about that. Just walking around, flying around the world with $100,000 of watches. And it was only 3 watches, but it's just a different way of spending. And I mean, he's in a place where he can do it, but that rubs off.
Yeah.
Right? You start to think about what's actually possible. And does it make sense to work around with a $40,000 watch? I think it depends on what your net worth is. It's a percentage of something, right? Does it make sense to do it if you make $40,000? Probably not. But if you make 4 million, do you miss it? Probably not.
It's a great point. Thank you, Nadine. Last call, comments, questions?
You guys let me off easy. They're just not here. All the black squares, none of them are here.
Oh. Well, oh, Alvin.
Yeah, one quick thing. Great presentation, Jerome. I mean, that's actually, as I mentioned in the chat, my transition phase focus for 2023 is just to be around more like-minded, progressive, growth-minded people as well. Now, you mentioned that you were engineering executive. You traveled around a little bit. I'm currently aerospace engineer and doing a lot of real estate investing. That's eventually where I'm going to transition to full time. What was that point that you kind of just made that transition in your life? What was like the defining moment for yourself?
Laying people off year after year. Yeah. So my last job, I was employee number 2. We had $0 in revenue. By the end of the year, I had 175 people on my team, and we did $20 million in revenue. We had 30% profit margins, and I had to lay half my staff off at the beginning of the next year. The following year, it was a very similar tune, but I was proactive and said, hey guys, don't spend all your money on Black Friday. And I felt all my leadership credibility was out on the floor, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So that's when I left. It was the wrong way to do it. It was an emotional decision, but I struggled. I suffered as a result of it because income went to 0. And then I had no clients. All the people who were interested in talking to me went away because I didn't have the title anymore. So we help people figure out much smarter ways to do that so they can do it without a whole lot of anxiety. Andrea quit her job on February 14th and did not bat an eye. So
Woohoo.
she's doing.
And was this during the crash of 2008 or something, or?
No, I left my job in 2016.
2016. Okay. I mean, I guess my dilemma is I like what I do. I like engineering. And I mean, as much money as I make in engineering, I'd make just about as much in real estate. So I guess that's another thing just to figure out.
We should talk.
Yeah, I connected with you on social media, so we can definitely connect.
Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you.
Wakefield Lee. Hey.
So
Hey,
polite, he raised his
Jerome,
hand.
thanks so much for putting this on. I might have an echo, sorry.
You're good. You're good.
Let's try this better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for this presentation. Amy, thanks for hosting this. Just on the, I guess the environment, that's like a big one, right? Your 5 people you spend time with. So let's say they're in the category of, they're not really supporting you, or maybe just not helping you to achieve your goals. And these are like longtime, friends and all that stuff, good relationships. Like, how do you handle that of, I'm kind of cutting you off, or just I talk to you less, like, and do you, you can't go from like, I'm not talking to any of you anymore, right? And you replace it with like a new sort of group. Like, how do you sort of manage that transition?
Which quadrant are they in?
I would say low and low.
So they're draining you.
Yes.
Our recommendation for folks who are draining is to end those relationships immediately. They don't have the capacity to help you and they're not helping you. So usually when those folks are hanging around, it's because it strokes our ego. They need us to help them. And we're not doing them any favors because they've learned helplessness.
Got it. Okay. And is that like you just stop or have a talk, or
That's up to you and what you feel like that relationship is owed. At the end of the day, do you want to go tell somebody, hey, I don't think that you can help me? I don't know. But what I will say is that every minute that you spend with them is a minute that's keeping you from getting closer to your dreams. Imagine being a hot air balloon and having a weight tied to you and you're trying to go to the next level.
right? Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks. No, not easy, but definitely, kind of think about the bigger picture. So thanks for that.
Yeah. And I mean, the way that I've heard people couch it in the past was you may feel me being more distant than I have in the past. And that's because I'm really focused on achieving these goals in 2023. And so I need to spend time with people who have the capacity and the interest in helping me at a level that's going to help me get there because I know I can't get there by myself.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, and that makes sense. It's just, hey, it's not like I don't want to spend time anymore. It's just these are my goals that I'm trying to get here, right? Okay.
Powerful question. It looks like Ryan made a great comment in the chat too.
For Alvin. I think he's gone though. Oh no, he's still here. Alvin, that's for you.
Yeah, appreciate Ryan. I think I'm kind of just holding on just because so I have something to do. That might be
I'm sure you can find something to do. It's probably addiction to paycheck.
probably so. And that's why I'm connecting with people like Jerome and Amy to really take that next leap. The plan is to get to the 7-figure mark. So
Possible.
Cheering you on. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining. Jerome, this was more amazing than I imagined, and I knew it was going to be great. So really, thank you so much. You are a busy man and you give so generously to our community. So thank you again so very much. Thanks everyone for attending. I look forward to doing this again with you all, hopefully soon.
Thanks.
Jerome, where
Amy.
can folks get a hold of you?
Oh, I took the redpill.co. That's the place
Perfect.
to go.
Let's go. All right, everyone. Have an amazing
Hi, Brittany.
day.
Good to see you.
Hey, Brittany. Take care, everyone. Thanks again.